weekly videos, I am going to be bringing you gem-packed information, all the lessons and all the strategies that I have learned in business over the last 15 to 20 years. You are listening to the #1 highest paid business mentor in UK as of today. Bring me one person to dispute this. Let's go. Today we are going to be discussing why business owners, we get tired, we also get lonely, but what do we do about it? Probably like in most cases, like we just bottle it up and we just take it on the chin and we just get on with it. But in reality, we are human beings. We also have feelings. We also suffer tiredness, exhaustion, but we don't really do much about it. And I think it's really, really important to understand that as business owners, we also need a release somewhere. So whether that comes in the form of speaking to somebody, whether that comes in the form of therapist, whether that comes in the form of whatever it may be. One of the big problems I used to have is that my partner was not in business. So they had a job, which means that it was even harder for me to talk to them because they don't understand what I'm going through. They don't understand what problems I'm facing. And every day I wake up, it could be a different problem. It could be a different problem that I'm dealing with. And then at 2 p.m. it could be a different problem I'm dealing with. And then at 8 p.m. it could be a totally different new problem I'm dealing with. And most people won't understand that concept. And so what I would say is that, and then when we go into work, when we go into our businesses, most of the time, like you can't just speak to staff and start venting out your frustrations of this and that. So in most cases, we just keep everything bottled up, and that is really, really not healthy, because what will happen is eventually you will either get really, really tired, you will get exhausted, excuse my spellings, you will get really tired and you will get really exhausted. And what that will happen is, because you have no one to speak to, that will lead to loneliness. And that's a real thing, right? Loneliness is actually a real thing. And what I would say is that as a business owner, that this is something you have to really grasp, because it can have a massive, massive impact on your health and on your well-being. And you don't want to, what you don't want to do is revert to some sort of stress eating and some quick dopamine hit, which will maybe give you some closure in the moment, in that moment, because you've just had a big fat burger or something, or you've just had some salt and vinegar chips or crisps. But what's really important is that look at this as a condition and think, well, how can I treat this condition? So I'll just tell you that some of the things what I done to combat this, and hopefully you can take something away and do something for it as well, because otherwise it will get to a point where it will have serious effects on you. So one of the things that I done was I hired a therapist, right? Because I struggled speaking with people that I know. So if I was sat down with friends and I was just struggling to speak to them, because I've spent 10 years in prison. It's a very lonely place. It's a very dark place, and I've spent a lot of time with myself, a lot of time with my thoughts. And just for some reason, I don't find comfortable speaking to people about my personal problems or my business personal problems. So what I done was, how I dealt with this was that I ended up hiring a therapist. And again, I went through like 25 therapists, and then eventually found one that was really, really good. And the way I found out that she was really, really good is that they don't take no bullshit from you, because we are business owners, and because we run successful companies, sometimes we can be really, really good at bullshitting people, and sometimes we don't want to hear our own truth, and that's just the way it is sometimes. So you really need someone, a therapist, that doesn't just hear what you say, they also check you when you're wrong, right? They also give you different perspectives. They also give you a different side to look at something. There's some great therapists that do these sort of things out there. But for some people, like if you are very sociable and you have a good network, then it's really important to have some sort of an accountability with them, right? I'm going to write this down. Have some sort of an accountability. And I remember Simon Sinek says this. What he says is that, so we have a rule amongst our friends, and what that is that if we are ever feeling to a point where we need to get off something off our chest, we have to speak to each other. If we want to cry, we have to call each other and cry about it till, otherwise we cannot sleep on it till the next day and the next day, because that will only cause to bigger problems. And look, for some people that works, and if you're the type of person that you have a 3 or 4 close friendship group, have this sort of rules amongst each other, right? Where if we ever feel lonely, we are going to send you this sort of a text. That means that they have to be available for you to deal with whatever you're going through, and because you have to get it off your chest. That is a must, right? So, but if you are the type of person that's like me, that where you don't like to speak to people, or you can't speak to your partner because they're not in business and they don't understand you, then what you need to do is you need to do what I done, and which is hire a therapist, a really good therapist. And sometimes it's like an interview process. You can't just go and sit down with one and you think, well, this is the perfect one. You have to be able to connect with them. You have to be able to get everything off your chest when you're speaking to them. And if you can't do that, then they're not the right therapist. The other thing which I would really say is with a therapist is that once you speak to a therapist, you don't want them to just listen to you. They have to give you different angle perspectives. For example, if you say to them that I don't like going to a football game, well, they need to give you a different perspective and say, well, what if you go once every 3 months? Do you not think it will be slightly beneficial because you've gone out and you've seen a different scenery? Will it not do any good to your mind? So what's that done? It's made me think, well, will it not? And it doesn't matter what the outcome is, as long as they make you think with 2 or 3 questions, is the point I'm trying to make. So my message here is quite simple. Like, as business owners, we struggle a lot, we go through a lot of loneliness, and it's really important that when we are dealing with any sort of problems, you have to have a system in place where you can also vent that out to somewhere, where whether that means that comes in a form of friendship or it's a therapist, but it's something that you must pay attention to, and you must take action on. Hopefully this episode was helpful. Till next time, I'll see you again. Please make sure you like and subscribe and share this video with one person. And if you would like to work with me, check out my website, ibbyaslam.co.uk.